Thanks for clicking on this interview. If you don't want to watch a full 30-minute movie, go down in the description and all of the topics and questions we discussed are indexed. Click on the blue hyperlinked time and it'll fast forward you in the movie to that particular question or topic. Thanks very much for watching and enjoy. On the inaugural show, episode number 1 of Health Rebels, we're speaking with Suzanne Miles.
Real nice, I can tell.
I hope so. I hope
you got all the trinkets going on.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying to put a lot of effort into this. Okay. Suzanne Miles, you're from Vancouver, British Columbia. You're speaking to us from Vancouver. You're currently 59?
59 years old.
And what I want to start out with is paint us a picture of who Suzanne Miles was before 2011, because I understand that was kind of when you started your health journey.
That's correct. So prior to 2011, Suzanne Miles has had a very interesting life. I have lived overseas. I lived in Australia for 20 years.
Okay.
I am a mother. I have a daughter who's 30, and I'm also a stepmom to a teenage daughter. And prior to 2011, I was, like everybody else, working away and following the all the things that you're supposed to do in your life with your health, and thinking that I was on track with my health. And then when I got to 2011, having done probably 10 years with a doctor trying to find out what was going on with various things, I made a change.
And what were those? Can you just go into briefly, what were those various things and why were you seeing this doctor?
So when I was in my 40s, I started to, I went to have a checkup, and then it came back from the lab that I had high cholesterol. So I was like, oh, that seems so strange. Anyway, I started to adapt things, but right away, I noticed that my doctor was starting to point me in directions of, if you don't do this by this age, then you could be in line for a heart attack in 10 years, and you should start thinking about statins. And I just have never been a person for pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm. So I was not interested in taking that. And so I said, well, what else can I do? And so we started on all this things, from more exercise. I went to the Healthy Heart program at the St. Paul's Hospital. I was just like, why am I even here? Mm-hmm. And then I had more tests and more time, and the cholesterol seemed to never go really away. Mm-hmm. And then during that time of sort of me trying to figure out what to do to avoid this upcoming heart attack, I also noticed that my weight was increasing, especially once I got into my mid-40s towards my 50s more. My weight started to increase, and I started to realize I couldn't control it.
And tell us, and tell us about your lifestyle in general. In terms of, I find it interesting in your Forks Over Knives article that you said you had a definition of healthy eating, and I think this could be very powerful for listeners and for viewers, because they think, I've heard it a lot, oh, I already eat healthy. So tell us what your previous definition of healthy eating was, and how did that change?
I thought I ate healthy too. I thought I ate organic food. I shopped at Whole Foods. I sourced out organic products. Like if it was going to be meat, let's say, it had to be like organic and all these things. And I thought that I ate really well. I've always been concerned about health, I guess. I thought I ate well and chose well. Mm-hmm. But it didn't. I wasn't really doing that. It was a trick. It's a trick, you see.
Yeah, it didn't really make an impact. Didn't really make a change, you saw.
Well, what happened was that as time got along, as I got in towards my late 40s, I started to grow which is very common, a fibroid. Mm-hmm. And it's very common.
I read that in your profile. So we kind of got a picture of who you were. Talk to me about what changed, what clicked, what was the turning point for you to start this journey in sort of a whole foods plant-based lifestyle?
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but I had now visiting a surgeon about this fibroid because I'd had scans and it was now talking. Now we've moved from heart attacks to surgery. And I'm like, this just doesn't make sense to me. And so anyway, what happened was I was visiting a surgeon actually in July of 2011. And what happened was that she was standing in front of me and I said to her, so if I do this, you're going to do major surgery and you're going to take out a big part of me. And what does the future look like? And she said, well, it's going to be 6 months of recovery and you'll have to, you'll have to have lots of drugs and this and that and this and that. And it was like a light came on in the room that moment. And I looked at her and I said, I'm sorry. This is not happening to me. I will not be doing this with you. I'm sorry, and I'm leaving now. And I said to her, I am going to get to the bottom of how I, quote unquote, got this. And I want to find out why. And if I can't find out why, I'll come back to you. And I laughed.
Were you criticized to
No.
dismiss, I guess, Western medicine?
Well, you could say so because I never heard from her again. So she never followed up to say, is it better? Is it bigger? Are you better? Has anything happened to you that you need a concern about? I never heard back from this very qualified surgeon.
Right.
And so I guess she knew I knew something. And what happened was, go ahead.
Well, and so I was gonna say, what led you to this lifestyle? What prompted you to watch Forks Over Knives and learn about nutrition, reducing this fibroid, for example?
So what happened was, after leaving her, I said to my husband, this was in July, I said, we are going to have everything has to be organic now with no spray, first of all. And secondly, we're going to really start looking a bit deeper into what's going on in our food system. And I didn't have much time, because then what happened was basically 30 days later, we happened to see on air the show of Sanjay Gupta called The Last Heart Attack. And in The Last Heart Attack, we don't watch much TV, but I said, we're going to watch this. And it was right that night that we decided that we were going to switch to a plant-based lifestyle, and we were going to kind of draw a line in the sand of the past was there. And now what was the future look like? Well, we didn't even know, right?
Right.
But we started there. So 30 days later, on August 31st, 2011, we saw The Last Heart Attack, and we changed direction that night.
That's great. What were some of your expectations changing your lifestyle this drastically, good and bad?
I don't think I really had any expectations. I thought, well, gosh, I was at that point 54. I thought, well, I've eaten and had everything.
Right.
Through the 50s, 60s, 70s, where I really was still, everybody was well then.
Right.
And everybody was. And I'm really excited because I can draw on that point where there was a shift into the 80s where suddenly I'd never heard of all these diseases, these illnesses, these things. I never heard of anything. We were just living. But now here we are, and we're now into the 80s, and now everybody's starting to become more hefty, a bit more weight's going on people. Now you're starting to see diabetes more and this type of thing. So I didn't really have an expectation, except perhaps this way, after seeing that show, it's a very powerful show, would be the way to some new transitions. So let's see what we can do. And we started right away, and it's been a big journey, and it's been wonderful in many ways and challenging in many others.
Great. So if I can sort of summarize, you didn't really have anything to lose except a fibroid. So you said, why not? You and your husband said, why not? Let's try this. Talk to me about physical activity before 2011 and after 2011.
So before 2011, I've been very athletic my whole life, really. But I have spent portions of it being a parent, maybe not doing the right thing.
Sure.
Spending maybe too much time, at the pub because I lived in Australia. Certainly, but I've always been fairly, robust type of person. But I think I let that go as things got along, right? And I got older, and it's easy to let go as you get older. It's really a lot easy to let go. And you don't have time and all these things, right? So prior to 2011, I had started because I'd had this fright that I was going to have this heart attack in 10 years. I'd actually upped my exercise quite a bit. Joined a gym, doing all the weight training and the circuits and this kind of a thing. But still, I wasn't really getting the results there, you see. So I felt like I was kind of spinning my wheels because I wasn't losing weight. I was actually gaining weight, and this fibroid was big. I mean, it was making me look pregnant.
Right.
So I didn't like it, and people would say things to me like, "Oh, I didn't know you were having a baby." And I'm just like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, I'm like 50 years old, but
Yeah.
thank you, but
Right.
no.
Right.
So, and a lot of people suffer from this, and then it becomes a hiding, and then you start to hide yourself, and you don't know how to answer people, and
Right.
you really don't have any solutions to this.
Right. So I guess the question I did not write down, but I think this is one of the most important questions of the interview, is let's talk about how you have changed. Let's talk about if you were on any medications, if you dropped them, lost weight. I understand you significantly reduced the fibroid. What changes have you seen since 2011?
Everything changed. Every single element of us has changed. Both of us, my husband and I. We've lost together 120 pounds,
It's
I
great.
guess, together. We have become athletes in our 50s,
It's
in our
great.
mid 50s. I run 10 kilometers like the wind,
It's
all
ne-
right?
it's never too late. It's never
It's
too.
never too late. It's never too late. Never. Anybody watching this, it's never too late. And even if you're way older than me, because I got mentors beyond me that I know that are just rocking, way bigger than older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important though, because everything changed: physical, mental, spiritual, growth, personal take charge kind of feeling. You actually have gained so much, but you also have to lose a lot, you see, because you're shedding a skin. You're actually becoming a new person, and you're quite likely becoming the person you always wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I have come to the realization that the food is holding us back because it's filled with chemicals and pesticides and sprays and all kinds of things that are incorrect, and it sends our body into a spin, and it kind of locks us in, so to speak.
Right.
And it ties us up because we can't control it,
Right.
you see. And so when you lose this control, you can't control it. And you can't control, especially if you're eating a lot of out eating a lot, and you're eating a lot of fast foods, restaurant foods, even in your own home. I mean, we had way too many things, and we were pretty prudent, on our food, but we still had way too many incorrect things. And once we were really starting to look at labels, we started to realize, oh my gosh, no, 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 no. So it's a process. It's a process of self-discovery that is available to everybody, and it's enlightening,
Right.
really. In so many ways, we are happier, brighter, stronger, more powerful people.
And not to mention, you said pesticides, chemicals, not to mention, in a lot of animal products, you have cholesterol, you have saturated fats, you have the refined sugars, refined flours that are in pretty much everything these days.
Well,
Yeah.
I discovered that meat is really not good for you, and it is filled with corn fructose. In actual fact, there's a great documentary called King Corn.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to see it, it's a great film. It actually starts in New York or New Jersey somewhere, and these guys go on a big trip to discover corn. But it actually leads eventually to meat and diabetes. But meat is filled with animals are not treated properly at all, and
Right.
so you're eating a lot of they're eating corn, which is not their natural diet.
Right.
And then they can't digest it. And just like us, we can't digest all this stuff. And so it flows into their
Right.
bodies,
Right.
and then they're slaughtered, and then we eat it. So it's not good for you, these things at all.
Right. I completely agree with that. Someone's watching this and who's pretty against changing their lifestyle or diet, but knows that something has to change, kind of like you were pre 2011. Or someone's plant based curious. What suggestions would you give to people who are struggling to commit to this lifestyle?
My top suggestion would be that this is available to you. We have to pull back from the bigger picture of all the people involved in your life, you see. It has to be for you. And if you really want to have a change and discover what can my body do for me? What can my body do for me? Can it lose 20 pounds and keep it off? Can it become a cyclist and go to the Grand Fondo?
Sure.
Can it become a senior runner?
Sure. And
You have to be selfish because the thing is that you can't move forward. And I say to a lot of people, here's the deal. If you watch those Olympics, though in Rio, let's say, or you watch tennis, let's say, somebody like Novak Djokovic, he's a vegan.
Right.
He's a superstar. Rafa Nadal, they don't get to center court. They don't get to center court without having done the work. Right? And it's the same way I look at what I've done in terms of weight loss and improving my lifestyle and rising towards my 60s in a more powerful way, is that I have to really keep my focus here with me. I have to keep the lens strong here. But with that is going to become a turning of the lens to actually look at yourself. And once we look at ourselves, we can start to melt away the blocks and the beliefs that are very, very deep and wound up around us. And we may discover that we're in the wrong place with the wrong people. And that might be part of the problem.
Sure. You have to grow. You have to grow and gain new friends. Maybe lose some people who are holding you back.
We've lost a lot of people.
Yeah, but I think
We've gained so many more.
Right.
And it's okay because not all of us are supposed to be together all the time forever.
Right.
And so especially when we look at friends and even family, inside family, families are the toughest on us when we become vegan. We found out our families are actually been the toughest. And we've had a lot of challenges that we've had to face, and it hasn't been easy. But the thing is that we have the results and we love the results. And so if you don't like those results and you think that we're weird, then well, that's okay. You can choose that. But it means we don't have much time together anymore, and that's okay too.
Right. And I think this is an example of we hope with this interview and this series is that the whole foods plant-based lifestyle and veganism becomes more mainstream. And at the same time, I wish that people would just simply be more open-minded. Just because you changed your diet doesn't mean you changed who you are really, and doesn't make you a bad person. Like I changed the food that I ate. I'm still going to be your friend. I'm still going to be your daughter, your mother, your whatever, your relative. Let's just move on and move on. You know?
People can't, and I'll tell you why. I'm 5 years into this now. It's been a very enlightening experience. Is that people, when you are breaking a belief system, you're breaking people's beliefs. They're not ready for it to be broken for them. You're breaking the belief. You're showing the results, but they're not ready and they don't want to. They don't care. I read a story the other day of a woman who wants to have a vegan wedding and nobody's coming to the wedding. Nobody. Family, stuff like that. And she's just, this is the type of thing that happens because it's so deep, this system that we live in captures you, and it creates a very, very deep belief system that many, many people find very tough to break, because you're going to have to actually face yourself and break the system and change as equally as if you were a snake shedding a skin.
Right.
And even the lobster story is the same. The lobster story is a great analogy of how we can grow. But what happens is that when you break a belief, it doesn't mean that others are going to believe that belief. Indeed, they're going to challenge that belief.
Right. And I just want to make clear to people who are watching this is you be aware that what happened to Suzanne and the fact that some of her friends and relatives have sort of left her life somewhat it's not guaranteed that that will happen. I mean,
No.
you can say, well, I really hope that doesn't happen, and it might not. But prepare yourself for, if you do change your lifestyle in this way, where you change like what you're eating and your health, and you're taking control of your health, it may happen.
That's correct.
Okay.
All families are different,
Right.
all friends are different, but here's a big thing that I've discovered.
Sure.
Is that at the beginning, sure, we were still invited out and people would say, oh, we don't have anything for you to eat. And we're like, it's okay, we'll eat beforehand or whatever. Because as this was in the very beginning, we started to think, oh, this is so interesting. Look, there's nothing for us to eat on the table. There's an olive. But meanwhile, there's a whole table full of cheese and pizza and fries and other things, but we have an olive. And so it's fine. But what was interesting was that as time went along, and I'm talking years of time, we started to realize that people stopped inviting us because we were now starting to challenge, not because we said anything, but just by the mere fact that we've now lost all this weight, our skin's clearer, our energy levels are higher, and suddenly you're like a new person. They don't know you. And so, yes, they're curious, and they always say, wow, you guys look amazing, but at the same time, we didn't get invited again, and to like barbecues or parties, things like that. But, and this is critical, we had to go through that piece. Like any good sailor, we had to go through those storms of what? What? You're not inviting us to what? Thanksgiving. But then about a year after this first started to happen, we realized that we actually were grateful because we don't want to go, because we're now not going to sit in a home that is cooking meat and smelling meat, and because people laugh at you as well. And that happened to us, and they challenge you. And so we were then more grateful on the other side of it with, we don't actually want to go and watch you eat that turkey now, because who are we to just sit there, because we're doing something different, you see? So it's a process. It's a process, and everybody's different.
Sure.
Depending who you got around you.
Right.
So yeah, it's been really very fascinating, but also very interesting, and I think all those people still watch.
And tell us about your book.
So my book, I'll show you here, is called Fork It: Keys to Amazing Health.
And it's on Amazon, correct?
It is on Amazon. I think it's on Kindle at least. But you can certainly contact me if anybody's interested.
Sure.
And what happened was that I decided that as I got in, sort of 57, that I needed to do a new career. And I'm telling you, the vegan world is coming, and it's going to flip the world on its lid. So I highly recommend start somewhere. And that's why I wrote a book, because I thought, well, I want a new career. I can teach people this. The older I get, the more interested people are in my story. For sure. That is definitely a key here. And I really wrote the book. It's not a cookbook. It's a book designed to help people understand what is going on in the food system, why you're a victim of it. If you have a problem, whether it's weight problems, thyroid problems, health problems of a myriad of ways we could discuss, you really need to look at your food. And so my book teaches you about that. So it's got 10 easy to read chapters. The feedback is amazing. People love it because anyone can grab it. You don't have to have, it's not a technical book. It's for real people from a real person. And so it's a real fun book, and it's really dedicated to you, to everybody.
That's great. How long did it take you to write it?
Well, the book took 3 months to write.
Wow.
Because I just was able to I can do this. And it took me more time to put the polish on the book.
Sure.
But we talk in the book a lot. There's this chapter, there's a piece in there for men. My husband's 63, he rocks. And, it teaches people about sugar, how to resist the temptations that are going to come your way. So, for example, I'll tell you a quick positive story. I had a job that I went to every day for a few years, and I'm a vegan. And they all ate all the Subways and the McDonald's and all this stuff, and birthday parties would come, and they'd have the company cake and all that's the Coke and all those things. And I would always never partake. But I always went to sing happy birthday. When the cake came around, I would say no, thank you. Okay. Now, all the girls in the office noticed this. I never said do or don't. It's not up to me to tell people what to do. It's up to me to do my thing and hopefully inspire others. So what happened is the more I said no, eventually the next birthday, another person said no, thank you. And then another person said no, thank you. And then my birthday came and they brought a fruit cake, fruit.
That's great.
And it went like that. Eventually, the girls come walking in with a magic bullet. And I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
We got a magic bullet. I'm like, yeah, and we got mango, and we got this, and we got that. I didn't teach them. I taught them by being who I was and standing to my code of ethics.
Yeah.
And by standing there, the power was with me. And they noticed. And now you go there today and they're smoothing and they got it all going on and they're enjoying better health. They haven't become vegans, but they're going towards it.
They're taking small steps to better health.
That's right.
And with you simply led by example. And people are observant. They they notice subtly, like, wait, Suzanne's not eating a piece of cake? And they notice little changes. One little quick anecdotal story is my fiance Lauren works in an office, a setting similar to what you just said, and she noticed she loves avocado. She brings maybe an avocado a day, and she noticed after a couple of weeks, more and more people seem like they're bringing avocados. So along the same lines, good for you. Very good.
So that's what I'm saying. You can still participate in the society and your work, but it's really powerful to say no. Indeed, your boss will notice because you might even get a bump up in career.
Maybe.
Because you're showing signals that are strong.
Sure.
And that have some power in them.
That's an interesting observation. What I like to end interviews and ask people who are plant-based, what are some of your plant-based staples? Because some people are just like, it's a horrible stereotype against people who are vegan and Whole Foods is like all you eat is spinach and lettuce leaves. What are some of your staples?
So I'm going to tell you really quickly. When we started, we really were trying to mimic the other system. Okay? So we were trying to kind of mimic certain things, perhaps grilled cheeses with diet cheese, and we were looking at no gluten bread and these kinds of things, but that's all gone now. So at the beginning, you might try to mimic. What I recommend people to do is to right away create a grazing drawer where you could put, instead of a junk drawer in your kitchen, you can put cans or glasses of bottles, and you can put in there nuts, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. You could put dried apricots, dried figs. You could put cashews, almonds, so and so. So that every time you open the drawer, and I'll tell you what, kids and teenagers, the teenagers that came to my house, they love that drawer. It was open for them.
Sure.
And I say to them, you go there, and they'd come and they'd go, what's in your grazing drawer? And I'd go, why don't you look?
Yeah.
So it gives them more power, right? And I'd fill it up, and different things would be in. I might have dried cranberries one day, this, that. Because the more you explore the culinary experience of the plants that are available to you, the way more you can fill your life up. So that's really important. That's something I always say to people. Start a grazing drawer. Learn to become a grazer versus a breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay? Now, 5 years later, we eat mostly a raw diet.
Okay.
So, for example, we would have, it's cooler here right now where we are, so we would now move to a slightly cooked diet, which would mean we would have a chickpea miso soup, which chickpea miso is fabulous. You can make it, you can buy it, it's out there, and it's way, way better for you. It makes a nice creamy base, and you can make any kind of soup from there, okay? So you can make anything, but in that case, I would only put myself some red onion and some maybe some lentils, various red or French lentils, and depending on how thick I wanted it, I might even add more things like broccoli, carrots. I might add more chickpeas. So you could really start it with just like something that's very soft, chickpea miso soft, or you could add it right up to being a thick winter style soup that you could have. Secondly, we make almost every night a veggie board. And my husband makes that, actually. It was his idea. And so what he does is he just cuts up avocado. He makes lines on a board, chop avocado, onion, red onion, tomato, and we might put carrot, cucumber, these types of things. And then we just put a little bit of black pepper on it and sprinkle some coconut oil perhaps, and we just eat that. And it's wonderful. So you can have that with the soup if you want,
Sure.
okay? Secondly, I make a smoothie pretty regularly every day. We fast these days every day. That's another topic. But so in that smoothie, I would really keep it high-level berries. Berries are filled with antioxidants, so you're really looking at cranberries, cherries, blueberries, strawberries. You must have organic. A lot of these foods are very dirty with pesticides, so really do what you can with organic food. And if you can really start growing a bit of your own, depending where you live in the world, then get that in and get that frozen, right? And so now you're in more control of your food. So what I'm trying to point out is that you can eat a very lean way, because we need to give our body time to recover from its intake of food. So what happens is as you reduce away from the produce, the package, the processed other system, and you move to a plant-based diet, your body starts to go into a healing momentum as equally as if you'd quit smoking.
Yep.
So you want to allow it to heal, meaning your liver's going to get cleaner. You're going to start changing things around. And the more you look away from the big box stores into more farmers markets, organic markets, even whole food to get you going, the more you're going to see, the more you're going to get directed. And eventually over time, your body, as it heals, lets go of most of that stuff, and you lean into a more raw food diet.
Yeah. What I like to tell people is the body's default is health. It's not sickness, despite what you see in public, what you hear on the news about diabetes going up and heart disease going up. It's not inevitable. It is completely controllable if you get rid of, like you said, the foods that are damaging or harming your body. It's as simple as that. Get rid of the foods that harm, add in foods that heal, and your body will come back to that default.
That's right. And I can't stress enough that my mother, first of all, in the 60s, she never said eat your meat. She said eat your greens.
Yep.
And here's something that I had. That I've got a bowl of tomatoes here. Look. And these, I put tomatoes into smoothies.
Wow.
Smoothies. Okay, so I put like tomatoes. I put all these in. I'd put like a handful of these in. I wanted to show you like a big handful. It's hard to show you, but these little guys and the big guy, I'd put into the smoothie as well. Maybe some nut butter, some sunflower seed butter, almond butter, cashew butter, hemp butter. There's so many out there. But here's the trick. You don't see it in the big box stores because you're not looking. So you got to get out of those stores and start to work on your transformation.
Yeah. Or else that stuff is in the big box stores. It's in 1/4 of one side of one aisle, and it's hard to see.
And you're not looking.
Right.
And after a while, I say to people, run from those stores. I mean, sure, it'd be great to support them because the more that you buy from them. Because here's the thing, everything you buy is your vote. So you're voting with your purchasing power, which is something that I talk about to people a lot, is when you're buying that, you are saying, I want more of that.
Right,
so
exactly.
You can have a really big impact, and that's why the vegan movement is starting to push against the traditional old ways of the last 50 years.
That's a really good point. That's a great point. You vote with your wallet. Absolutely.
Yes, you do.
So, Suzanne Miles, the last word. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to say to people who might be watching this? The floor is open to you.
I would like to say that a plant-based vegan lifestyle is available to you, to your friends, to your family, to your children, to everybody. It is important to understand that this is not a crash diet. This is not a diet. This is a lifestyle. And the lifestyle evolves as you do. You see, I was 54 when I started. I was running out of time, right? Come on,
Sure.
You know, I'm looking at this heart attack and this surgery. So I had to be a bit more aggressive with, is this the vision I had for my life when I was 20? The answer was no. So I needed to be more aggressive with it. But you can go at your own pace. the key is that you've got to get the whole, if you're living in a family, you've got to really kind of get everybody on board, because after a while, you ain't chopping the meat. Sorry. You won't be doing it because you'll freak you out. So it's very important for people to be calm about it and to understand that this is available to you anywhere in the world, and it is going to give you supreme health. I never expected to have the health I have today. And today I run 10 kilometers, and I can add a 10, 15, 20 kilometer bike ride on top of that. And so the weight has gone. I'm happier. There is way more opportunity for me because you actually get very, very well. You don't know it until you've got to the point I am at. And that's where my book is so good, because it teaches people how to sort of tune their beacon, their focus, like a ship towards the new goal. And going towards it means that you're going to leave behind some things that you loved. I loved it all too. And don't forget, you want to have high quality vitamin C. So I suggest things like rooibos tea. I also suggest something like a pycnogenol, which is a pine bark. I brought a bottle here for you to see pycnogenol. This is one of the highest vitamin C's you can take. Don't take ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is not good for you. And really work on having highest quality food you can afford. And if you can't afford everything, go for the highest berries and the highest superpower foods you can get. Maybe buy a jar of spirulina, chlorella, these types of things. And, but stay away from boxes and stay away from bags of things, and try to get away from plastic and these types of things, and start working towards the healthy you. It is available, and it's out there for you wherever you are in the world.
Terrific. Suzanne Miles, you are a plant-based ambassador. Thank you very much for your time. And we'll edit this, we'll throw it together, we'll throw it on YouTube, and hopefully, I know from your Forks Over Knives article that you've already touched a lot of lives, but my hope is that if just one person changes their lifestyle a little bit from watching this interview, it's time well spent.
I sure hope so. If you can do it.
Thank you very much, Suzanne.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.